so your sloppy drunk ass ain't looking good. So hello guys, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today I'm going to be talking about crew privileges on a cruise ship. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to click like and subscribe for some more cruise ship content, but as for now, let's get into the video. So on a cruise ship there is of course passenger areas and crew areas. Now passengers are not allowed in crew areas unless they have to pass through them to disembark or embark the ship, or maybe get to the medical centre or something. And crew members are only allowed in passenger areas if you have passenger privileges or you are working in a passenger area. It varies from cruise line to cruise line, but there is a general rule. So if you're on a luxury cruise line, for example, Viking, Cunard, Seabourn, Regent of the Seas, they are all very luxurious cruise lines and they are very expensive to go on as a passenger. So as a crew member, unless you are at work, you will have to stay in crew areas. Sorry. And then there are also cruise lines that are more relaxed with their crew, so like Royal Caribbean, P&O, Virgin Voyages. So if you are a crew member on those ships, they normally allow you to use passenger areas even if you are not working, but it does depend on your rank. So we'll move on to ranks. So on a cruise ship, there is a ranking system and it's a stripe system on the majority of the cruise ships. So, you know, the captain has 5 stripes and everyone below the captain has, you know, less stripes. So for example, I have been a spa therapist and I've also been a shop assistant. So my rank has been 1.5 stripes. Now my manager, the manager of the spa and the manager of the shops will have 2 stripes, and then they will have a manager who will have 3 stripes and 4 stripes and 5. So you get the gist of it. Basically, on all the ships I've been on and people that I've spoken to, if you're 1.5 stripes or above, then you are allowed in guest areas even when you are not working. If you are 1.5 stripes or below, if you are below 1.5 stripes, then you are only allowed in guest areas if you are working. Now, some of the jobs that are not allowed in passenger areas, just for an example, it varies from ship to ship, is chefs, waiters, housekeeping, guest services staff. So they're just a few, and that's no disrespect, but that just is the case. Unfortunately, they tend to have less than 1.5 stripes, so therefore, unless they are working, they're not allowed in passenger areas. Jobs that usually are allowed in passenger areas, even if they're not working, are basically any revenue department. So shops, spa, casino, art, senior like bar staff, senior waiters, senior restaurant managers, and then of course like pretty much all your marine sides, so all your officers and cadets, they are allowed in passenger areas. So then it comes down to time. So as I just said, normally chefs are not allowed in passenger areas. However, if you are a head chef, then you might have 2 stripes. So you might be allowed in passenger areas, but chefs tend to work 14 hours a day. So even though they're allowed, they don't actually have time to enjoy the passenger areas because they're constantly at work. Whereas for me, I work in the shops, I have a lot of time off, so I can kind of, you know, go in the pool or use the gym or sunbathe or go to a restaurant. So I'm very lucky in that respect that I actually get time to enjoy the passenger areas. So also when you're like starting a new job, just take that into consideration. Whatever department you're going into, do they tend to work a lot of hours? Because, you know, as I said, you might have the privileges, you might be able to use them, but you might just not have the time. So let's say you're going on a ship, you're allowed to use guest privileges, you have the time. Well, then the guest privileges that you will have, we'll go through now. So you will be allowed to use the bars, okay? You'll be allowed to use the passenger bars, but you can't have a drink with a passenger unless they have invited you. But you can't just walk up to a passenger and be like, hey, can we sit with you? But yes, you are allowed to drink amongst passengers in the passengers bars. However, if you are going to have a drink, then just make it one. To be honest, that's how the majority of people I've witnessed getting fired have got fired. It's by, you know, let's go out in passenger areas, and then, you know, they have more than one, they get a bit tiddly, or a bit more than tiddly in passenger areas, they become sloppy, they become loud, they start to swear or start to make a fool of themselves. A passenger complains, and you know, you're a crew member. You're still working. Even though you're not working, even though you're off the clock, you're still representing the company. So your sloppy drunk ass ain't looking good. So if you're gonna have a drink in a passenger bar, my advice would be have a drink, but make it a drink, and then if you want to carry on drinking, continue drinking in crew bar, or just like call it a night, go back to your cabin. Another privilege is you get to use the restaurants on board. So like Virgin Voyages that I've just come off, I think they have like 7 different restaurants. It's amazing. And I am allowed to eat in all of those restaurants. However, of course, guests come first.
Guests come first.
So if I call up the Wake, one of the restaurants, and I want to book a table, if they can get me in, they'll get me in. However, if they say they're too busy, then that's it. You know, it doesn't matter that it's your night off and you really wanted to go there. Guests come first. And, you know, it really does take one person to mess up guest privileges. So, you know, if a restaurant manager is telling you, I'm sorry, but we're fully booked, please don't play a face, because, you know, there have been a lot of crew members in the past that have been like, this is not fair, it's my night off and I want to go and eat in this restaurant and they're not letting me. It's not that it's not fair, but like, you're working on the ship and there are people who have paid a lot of money to be here, so of course they get first dibs when it comes to the restaurant. Another one is the passenger gym. Every ship will have a crew gym, but of course the passenger gym is a lot nicer. They have more equipment and a lot more space, and you will be allowed to use it. However, the hours will vary from ship to ship. So for example, one of my ships, the gym was really out on a limb, so the spa manager was nice enough to say crew members can use it at any time. So if I wanted to go to the gym at 4 a.m, 3 a.m, I could, because it was really out on a limb. However, another ship, the gym was above cabins, so if you were up there at 3 a.m. on the running machine, the cabins below could, you know, hear you running, and obviously that would cause complaints. So you will be allowed to use the guest gym. However, the hours that you will be allowed to do so will vary depending on what the spa manager wants. Every cruise ship has a pool. You will be able to use the pool. However, the the rule that I have always abided by is if there are 4 people in the pool, I ain't going in. So pools on cruise ships tend to be quite small. So 4 people, it can actually start to be like quite cramped. Obviously it depends on the ship and how big the pool is, but that's just the rule that I go by. It's the rule that I've been told to go by. Obviously if there's no one in the pool, then yeah, use it. But if the pool's really busy, you've just got to use your noggin and like, don't go in, you know? Same with sunbeds. If you go up to sunbathe and every sunbed is taken and there's one left, don't use it, because likelihood is there'll be a guest coming up in a bit, they want to sunbathe and you've taken the last sunbed. Use your head. Obviously if it's not busy, go for it, sunbathe away, catch the rays, get the tan, do it, but the guests come first. And I think with all privileges that you have on a cruise ship, you do have to remember you are there to work. The fact that you can use the passenger areas is a privilege. Treat it like a privilege. Don't become complacent and, you know, start mouthing off if something doesn't go your way, if you don't get in a restaurant, if there's not enough sunbeds. It's just how it is. The passengers on these cruise ships are paying a considerable amount of money to be able to use the facilities, and you are lucky enough to work on this ship. You will be there for months on end and you will be able to use those facilities at some point. So anyway, that is all I have to say on crew privileges. I hope this has helped clear it up for you. As I said, if you've got any questions, please put it in the comment box down below and I will get back to you. But yes, thank you very much for watching and I will see you in the next video.